If you're spending all day doing installations, handling every detail, and juggling customer calls, it probably does feel like you're trapped in a never-ending cycle. You're probably so busy working in your business that you've got no time left to work on your business. No time for marketing, no time for hiring, no time for growth, and that's exactly why you feel stuck. I know how it is. You're exhausted, you're doing great work, but it's not translating into real freedom or growth. It feels like you're running on a treadmill, moving fast, but not going anywhere. And here's the kicker: the harder you work, the more stuck you feel. You didn't start a business just to create another job. You started it for freedom, for control over your time, for income growth that doesn't depend on showing up every day, right? The problem isn't your work ethic. It's the fact that you're still thinking like a technician instead of a business owner. And it's time to change that. The technician's trap is why you can't scale. If you feel like your business is running you instead of the other way around, you're probably stuck in what I call the technician's trap. It's when you're so busy doing the work that you've got no time left to grow the business. The daily cycle that keeps you stuck. You wake up and jump straight into installations. No time to plan, just straight to the grind. You handle customer calls in between jobs, juggling quotes and questions and complaints while trying to finish the job at hand. You come home exhausted with zero energy to focus on marketing, hiring, building systems for your business, or even spending time for yourself or your family, which is the worst, right? And then tomorrow, the same thing: rinse, repeat, and all of this leads to burnout. The result is that you've ultimately just created your job for yourself, not a business that runs that you get to enjoy, right? And the real problem here is that you're thinking like a worker still, not like an owner. You can't really grow if you're stuck in the trenches every single day. A technician trades their time for money. No work, no income. If you're sick, you can't work, there's no money being generated. A business owner builds systems that generates income without them. They create processes, they delegate tasks within those processes to someone else, and they focus on strategy, not just operations. If you're the only one that can do the work, your business will always be limited by your time. And that's not what we call freedom. That's a fancy job title with extra stress. So how do you actually break free from the technician's trap? Grab a notebook, list out every single task that you handle in a day. Be brutally honest here. Everything from answering emails to fixing mistakes. And then highlight the tasks that someone else can do with a little bit of training. Could an assistant handle the scheduling, or maybe AI? Could a junior installer manage the prep work? Could an automation handle the follow-up emails or the follow-up process at all? This list becomes the blueprint for you scaling your business. Start small. Delegate one task this week, then another next week, then another the next week. Remember, you're not just building a business, you're building freedom. You have to do this if you want to scale your business and if you want to break free of that technician trap. So again, how do you actually transition from technician to a business owner? Here's the 3-step framework for actually getting out of the field. Think of it like a ladder. You climb one step at a time. The first thing that you want to do is document and delegate. You want to systematize your process so that someone else can follow them. You need to write it down so that way somebody else can follow it. And then once you have everything written down, you want to hire people to do it and then train them to be able to do that. You want to build a team that can actually handle the installations without you having to hover over them. This is why you want to document everything. So that way they can refer to the documentation, not have you watch everything. And then once you've got them on the floors and they're trained up and you've got all of your processes mapped out and built into an SOP, you want to build a sales and marketing machine and shift your focus from doing all of the work to driving more business for other people to do the work. And this is the process of scaling and transitioning from a technician to a business owner. So let's break down the steps of document and delegate, hire and train, and what it looks like to build a sales and marketing machine. So the first thing is document and delegate. If your business lives in your head, there's no way that you can delegate this to anybody else. You can tell them, but what happens if they get confused? You're going to have to repeat it. And then what happens if they get fired and you got to hire somebody else? Guess what? You have to repeat that as well. So the first step is getting your process out of your brain and into a system. You just want to create a step-by-step guide for your installation process. Think checklists, not novels. I have a few of these step-by-steps for installations built out already for metallics and for flakes. So if you need them, just reach out to me and ask me for them. I can get them for you. And then the next level of that is to actually record some simple videos. They don't have to be anything crazy, but showing people how to do key tasks like grinding the floors, pouring some of the substrate down. And then you can do screen recordings for admin stuff that you're doing on the computer. And then you can actually make videos on your phone for hands-on work on the floor whenever you're grinding everything. And then once you've got all of this set up, that you want to start looking at delegating all of these tasks and assigning. Start with admin tasks if you're not ready to hire somebody, or if you're ready to hire people for on the field, then start hiring technicians. But what it would look like in the office is assigning those admin tasks like the emails, the scheduling, and the invoicing. And you can do this, a lot of this with AI or automations, or you can just hire a virtual assistant, or you can hire somebody locally, your cousin, your sister, your wife, whatever. If you're doing these $10 tasks, then you're holding yourself back from making $1,000 an hour, handling those $1,000 per hour opportunities. And a key point here is if you've done a task more than 3 times, it's probably time to document it so that way somebody else can do it. You don't need to keep repeating that task. You need to be doing the tasks that are higher level that other people can't, that aren't repetitive. If it can be repeated, it's almost guaranteed that you can hand it off to somebody else. And so whenever you're looking at handing it off to somebody else, now that you've got those processes in place, it's time to bring in those people. And you want to start small and just hire one technician, maybe one virtual assistant, to take part of that workload off of your plate, and then train them efficiently. Use your documented guides that we already created and the videos to get them up to speed super fast. And then don't aim for perfection. Just get them up to speed. They don't need to be you. They don't need to replace you. They don't need to care about the business the same way that you do. They just need to be good enough to get the job done right. I'm not saying to sacrifice quality. They need to be able to be good enough, but good enough to get the job done right. They do not need to be perfect. You can always help train them, refine them, answer their questions as you go. And a key point here is that hiring is not an expense. That you got to get out of this framework. That's thinking like a technician. Technicians that start their own business are worried about expenses. Hiring is not an expense. It's an investment, and that investment leads to your freedom and your business growth. So again, it's an investment, not an expense. And one of the third thing to do, once you've documented everything, once you've hired people and you've started training them, now you really want to focus on your sales machine. You should already be running ads at this point, but this is the part where most business owners get stuck. You won't grow if you're not generating leads consistently. A lot of guys will hire people. Maybe they don't document everything, but they'll start hiring guys. That becomes a crap show. And then they're just relying on word of mouth. You can see why that becomes a problem. This is the framework that you want to follow. Spend at least 30% of your time on lead generation. If you're working 10 days out of the week, I know there's more than that. If you're working 10 days in a row, make sure that at least 3 of those days are spent only on lead generation. That's the type of scale there, right? 30% of your time, it needs to be spent on lead generation. Yeah, and that is even if you're busy. Leads are the lifeblood of your business. If you're not getting leads, you're only relying on chance. And this is just the craziest way to be trying to run a business. If you're trying to do that, you probably shouldn't be running a business. Another part of building a sales and marketing machine is automating your follow-up. So that way you're not getting bogged down chasing people manually. And then, of course, you want to use paid ads, SEO, and referral systems to create a predictable, scalable flow of leads. You do not want to be relying on chance, like I said. If you're not running retargeting ads, start doing that today as well. They're super cheap, super easy, and they turn these maybe later leads that have interacted with your business somewhere online, went to your website, whatever, into a let's book client. You can actually convert those people because they've already seen a couple of touch points from you, you see. I hope all of this is making sense to you guys. So how do you put all of this into motion? Here's what you need to do right now. Pick one task that you can delegate this week to somebody else. Create a simple system, whether that's a checklist, a video, or an actual guide to make it easy for somebody else to handle that task, and then hand it off to them. Yes, it might feel uncomfortable, but that's what we call growth, baby. So if you're still on the tools every single day, out there grinding, dropping all of the floors, you do not have freedom. You've just got a job with extra stress. The goal is not just to run a business, it's to own one that doesn't run you. So how do you get there? It's all about shifting your focus to the stuff that actually grows your business. Your time is your most valuable asset. If you're spending it doing tasks somebody else could handle, you're really holding yourself back and holding your business back. As a business owner, your time should be spent on marketing and lead generation, hiring and training, improving systems, and bigger picture strategy. Every hour that you spend on tasks that don't grow your business is money that you're leaving on the table, jobs that you're losing. It is not smart. What are some common excuses that keep you stuck? Saying that no one can do the job as well as me. The reality here is that they don't need to do it as well as you. You need to train them, get them to 80%, and then refine and help them optimize their process over time. Good enough is better than you being stuck as a technician and not actually converting over to being a business owner, right? Another one of these excuses is I don't have time to hire and train. The truth here is that if you never make time, you're always going to be stuck. Just block out two hours a week to work on the business instead of working in the business 24/7. Those 2 hours will change your life if you just spend those 2 hours again working on the business, not in the business. Think of it like this. Would you rather waste 2 hours now every single week or 20 years later still stuck in the same spot, being a technician, not really scaling your business, just working your butt off every single day? Is that really going to be worth it? Or would you rather take those 2 hours to actually help train a guy and help them get better at sales, help them learn the processes better? Another excuse is, what if I can't afford to hire anybody right now? The truth here is that you can't afford to not hire. Even hiring one assistant or one technician frees up your time to focus on higher level revenue generating activities. Your time is worth way more than what you'd pay someone else to handle the same busy work that you're doing. Hire someone part-time or even just a virtual assistant to start if you really need to. You don't need a full-blown team overnight, just enough to create some breathing room for you. Another big issue is that guys just make a bunch of excuses about how they don't have time. What you can do here is, if you feel like you don't have time, if you're saying that you don't have time, what you need to do is track your time for the next 5 days. How much time are you spending doing the work, whether that's installation, sending follow-ups, calling leads, and then how much time do you spend growing the business? Then that's marketing, hiring new employees, refining your systems, and then review this list. What tasks can somebody else handle? Where are you stuck in the weeds on this? Pick one task to delegate next week. The goal is not perfection, it's progress. If you really want to grow your business beyond just you, you've got to stop thinking like a technician and start thinking like a CEO. That means shifting from doing the work to building the business systems that get the work done without you being in the middle of everything. The goal isn't to be the best worker. Your goal is to build a business that runs whenever you're not there, okay? You're not the MVP, you're the coach. You really need to let go to be able to scale. Micromanaging every detail is a growth killer. Trust your team, trust your systems. If you can't trust your team and you can't trust your systems, you need to build that out. You need to improve that. You need to start thinking bigger. Every time you ask, how can I do this? Try to flip it to, how can I get this done without me? How can this get done without me being involved? The more that you let go, the more that you're going to grow. The more that you let go of things, the more that you're going to grow your business, okay? What are the 5 key systems that every scaling business needs? You don't scale by working harder. You scale by building systems that do the work for you. One of those systems is a lead generation system. Another is a sales process system. Another is going to be the delivery system, like a trained team that's handling the installation with minimal oversight, right? And you need checklists, SOPs, and actual bona fide accountability so that the jobs are getting done right every single time. Another one is a financial tracking system. You need metrics that ensure that you're actually scaling and that you're scaling with profit. You don't want to just be hiring people just for the sake of it, just to say that you're hiring. So you need to know your numbers, your revenue, your expenses, and what your actual profit margins are, because revenue is vanity, profit is sanity. Another one of those systems is AI and automation systems. These are tools that handle the busy work for you: follow-ups, scheduling, and client management, client follow-ups, all of that stuff. If it's repetitive, you want to automate that. If it requires creativity or connection, then you want to delegate that. So the next process in transitioning from an employee to a CEO is to stop working like an employee and start leading like a CEO. It's time to flip that script. If you're in the field every single day, your business is just never going to scale. The key to freedom isn't hustling harder, it's building smarter. Systems, delegation, and marketing are the foundations of a business that grows without you burning out. So you need to stop thinking like an employee who's doing all of the work. Start thinking like a CEO who's building the machine. Your next move, where all of the growth is really going to start, is to choose one task for you to delegate this week. Whether that's admin tasks, scheduling, or follow-ups. It just needs to be something that frees up your time. Getting it done is better than getting it perfect. Just hand it off. Spend 2 hours this week working on growth. Block it out on your calendar, make it non-negotiable, and focus on marketing in that time. Focus on hiring, focus on improving the systems that run your business, because that's where the real growth happens. And if you need any help with this, don't be afraid to schedule a strategy call to get a roadmap for scaling. Don't wing it. Get clear on your next steps so you're not just doing a bunch of busy work, you're actually building momentum in your business. And here's the biggest thing I want to leave you with. You're not an employee anymore. You're not just a technician. You're actually the CEO of a flooring company. It's time for you to start leading like one, okay?